studying Islam in India, you might have seen different perspective of Islam, different religions, maybe hundreds of religions. So how do you see Maulana's role living in a multi-dimensional country where hundreds and thousands of religions are present?
Well, I think his understanding of religion is of bringing together all the people of India. You know, it's an interfaith, it's for dialogue, it's for plurality of Islam and religion. So I think India is the perfect place for such people and such understanding to rise. You don't have it in the Middle East because Middle East, it's majority, maybe except of Lebanon, but even Lebanon, but Shia, but it's majority, Muslim majority countries. And then all this thinking is different, it's a very different perspective. And India, because its Muslims are minority, they have other perspectives and more contacts with other religions to see more truth in the other, more understanding, more tolerance of the other.
Now, what role do you see Maulana's writings in your research? How you are going to use it? Do you think that Maulana's writing is very useful in your research?
I think they are very useful. My project is to explore and analyze the emergence of the concept of dialogue, of hiwar in Arabic, which did not exist maybe half a century ago, and we had about nothing about it maybe till the beginning of the new millennium. Now, I see that it comes up in different regions. In the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, raises this, in Europe, in America, the West, and in India. And my work is comparative, to see the different conceptions of dialogue and to analyze it as a counter concept to terrorism, to exclusiveness of Islam, to extremism. And in this general rise of this concept, I think that Maulana Wahiduddin and maybe some other people in India have an important role. Like, how did I arrive to India, Indian Islam? I majored in the Middle East. But I noticed that in the past 200 years, most ideas, most Islamic trends and ideas that are now prevalent in the Middle East come from India. And this one should also arrive.
Now, after Russia split it into small countries, you see a lot of small Muslim countries emerging from that area.
Of Russia?
Russia.
Yes.
Now, do you think that Maulana's literature will be helpful to bring all those countries together?
You mean in Central Asia? Well, I wish him good luck, that's politics. I've been in Uzbekistan, and well, they have big problems there. And Uzbekistan is one of the countries that work better than others. So I think there's a lot to be done.
Uzbekistan is having some problems.
Oh, serious problems. Yeah. Yes. On the one hand, dictatorship, it's an authoritarian state. On the other hand, Islamic terrorism. It's the Middle East mix.
Now, Islamic terrorism is so common now in Middle Eastern countries, including Pakistan and Afghanistan. Do you see any positive results coming out of this terrorism?
No, I'm against violence. I mean, if Muslims unite against it, so you can say this is positive, or Muslim assert themselves. Like here in the conference, you hear practically all panels and all places I go and talk with people, so they explain me why this is not Islam. So it helps them to clarify what is Islam. It's about peace, it's about tolerance to the other, community work. But I think this doesn't have to pass through terrorism, because it's a big suffering for many people. It's affliction for humanity, and especially for Muslims.
So, do you have any message for those who are involved in violence and terrorism?
Yes, listen to the Maulana. Well, I think this is a terrible phenomenon. What ISIS is doing is untold barbarity, and it becomes like like the Nazis, or like total barbarity, loss of all humanity, and against people, against antiquities, against it's exactly what is Jahiliyyah. This is Jahiliyyah in my point of view. The radicals say, oh, there is Islam and Jahiliyyah and we have to fight. But I think this is Jahiliyyah. Complete ignorance of Islam.
Now, finally, your opinion about Maulana. In few words, how you are going to define it?
I think Maulana is doing a very important work, spreading the word of Islam as a tolerant religion, looking for peace. We need many people like him to change the reality, which I must tell you the truth. ISIS is now going really down. More violence, more problems in all spheres. The future doesn't look bright, and we need such people. 5th September, ISNA conference in Chicago. Please introduce yourself.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني. My name is Muhammad Waqar Alam, and I'm part of Center of Peace and Spirituality in USA. When we started this work many years ago, I wasn't the part of it. I was introduced to this work after when I did a lot of research that what exactly Islam needs from an individual.
Can you tell a little bit about yourself,
Sure.
background?
I work with 2 teaching hospitals. My specialty is counseling, addiction counseling. That is my specialty, and I work with the teaching hospitals. When I realized that an individual has to promote the word of God and not the violence, I found Maulana's literature very useful in promoting these ideas. So first of all, I read all his books first, and then I contacted Maulana about it. So he introduced me to 1 or 2 other persons who were living in USA. And since then I became a part and parcel of this organization.
What is the name of the organization?
Center of Peace and Spirituality, USA.
And it belongs to Maulana, or is the
No, it's
spiritual?
No, it's a independent organization, and Maulana is the chief patron of this organization. It promotes only Maulana's ideas. So when I looked at his work, my basic work was to preserve his work, convert into modern media, and present it to those people who are young and the coming young generation. So few of the work that I have done is converted his books into e-books. Those books are available free and people can read it. Then I converted all his books into flip books, and those books are readily available on the website, and people can download it. It's all free for everybody. I'm trying to convert his speeches into script, because most of his ideas are in his speeches. Although his writings are the best writings that I have ever read, but when he talks, it comes from his heart. So I want to preserve his words. So we now started doing the scripts of his speeches. So those are the works that we are doing here. Some other major works we do is that we are the largest distributor of Quran, English translation of Quran in America. We distribute hundreds and thousands of Quran to churches, prisons, hospitals, social organizations, those who further distribute Quran into public. We attend peace conferences and promote Maulana's word of peace, and introduce Islam as a peaceful religion in those conferences. This is what we do here in USA.
You have also community work, or to reach out to the people.
We
is
do-
it through the
we don't-
publications, also meetings?
First of all, we are not involved in community work as per se. People call that community work. No. But we are very close to community, and we keep close contacts with those organizations. Those are promoting Islam, and we are the one who provide Quran free of cost to those organizations. So they just to make their work easy. We have one of the cheapest price on Quran, is 35 cents for one copy. There's a small book with English translation. People here love that, and it's easy to carry. It comes in your front pocket. You can
Yes.
fit it in your front pocket. So the other community work we do is that we get a lot of requests from prisons where Muslims are incarcerated. So we provide Quran to them also. We have very close contacts with hospitals. So the chaplains of the hospitals get Quran from us free of cost for the Muslims and non-Muslim patients admitted in the hospital.
Your work is mostly among Muslims, or is it also
No,
for,
it's not.
for
No.
non-Muslims?
It's mostly it is for non-Muslims, but if Muslim also wants our books and Quran, we give them so that they can distribute further to other non-Muslims.
Would you define any part of your work as interface or interface activity, or are there any organizations of interfaces that you
Yes,
cooperate with?
Yes, in Philadelphia we cooperate with interfaith organizations. We provide them literature, we attend their meetings, we, we provide them information about Islam.
Which ones? Which?
I don't remember the name. It's an interfaith community of Philadelphia, Ben Salem.
Yeah. Very interesting. And you also have a website where you
Yes,
look at.
we have a very good website where everything is available free of cost. Maulana's all the books and archives of the magazines are available free of cost, and it's called alrisala.org.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Professor Yitzhak Weissman. I specialize in Islamic studies at Haifa University in Israel. And well, I did in my 25 years of career a lot of work on different aspects of Islam, on Sufis, on Salafis, on Muslim Brothers. And in the past few years, I become very much interested in all the concept of dialogue and of interfaith activity in Islam, of course, the Islamic perspective. And that's how I learned about you and your very important work. And I would like to hear from you a little bit about yourself and about your ideas. I heard that you met former President Shimon Peres, right? You visited Israel. And did you offer him any peace initiative or how to reach peace in the Middle East?
मौलाना वो चाह रहे हैं कि आप थोड़ा सा अपने बारे में बताएं, आपके आइडियाज़ के बारे में, आपके वर्क के बारे में, और प्लस वो कह रहे हैं कि मैंने ये भी सुना था कि आप शिमोन पेरेस से मिले थे वहाँ पे इजराइल में, तो आपने कोई उनको पीस सल्यूशन भी बताया। तो ये चाहते हैं कि ये सारे एस्पेक्ट्स को लेके इन्होंने इससे पहले बताया मौलाना कि इस्लामिक स्टडीज़ में इन्होंने पढ़ा है और सूफीज़ और सलफ़ीज़ के बारे में, और अब इनका इंटरेस्ट डायलॉग में आ गया है कुछ वक्त पहले से, तो भी डायलॉग की तरफ इनका वो है रुख है। तो वो चाह रहे हैं कि आप अपने बारे में, अपने आइडियाज़ के बारे में और आपका जो विजिट हुआ था उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा उनको शेयर करें उनके साथ।
और ये भी पूछा उन्होंने क्या श्रीमंत से मिले हैं आप?
हाँ, तो
I am a born Muslim. Also, I was educated in a Muslim seminary, and my family was traditional family. But after some time, and when I reached to the age of maturity, I developed self-thinking. So during that period, I found that I am not convinced with that religion which I see everywhere in my environment. So I wanted to rediscover everything. So I am a Muslim, but my Islam is rediscovered Islam. What I found in my madrasa, in my environment, so I was not convinced, so I wanted to rediscover Islam. So my Islam is rediscovered Islam. Now I found that Muslims are engaged in extremism, in violence in the name of jihad. So all these things were not present in the Quran. It is, all these things are misinterpretation. So after a long time study, I started my mission. My mission was to introduce Islam according to its original picture to other people. So I am doing the same job, and I established Islamic Center and then Center for Peace and Spirituality, and I published several hundred books. Also, I published a commentary of the Quran. So now, after a long effort, I successfully spread my ideas. There are thousands and thousands of people all over the world who are agreement with me. And now I'm busy to spread my ideas, not my ideas, but what I discovered from Quran or Sunnah. This is, in short, my introduction.
Maulana, he also wanted to know a little bit about your visit when you met President Shimon Peres, and what did you tell him or convey him or in terms of the solution for peace?
There was a peace conference perhaps in Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv.
Huh? So I received an invitation. So I went over there. I participated in this conference. I found that Shimon Peres is very good person. He
Thank you.
is a objective thinker. No bias. So I like him. And there was discussion with Shimon Peres, and both were agreed that peace is a must everywhere in the world, especially in Palestine. This was the gist of the discussion.
Ask the second question.
You talked about the extremists and jihad that Muslims are engaged in now. How can you think from Islam it can be counter to this jihadism, to this violence? How can Islam come back to the middle way?
I'm totally I totally disagree with this concept. They misuse the Quranic verses or hadith. Otherwise, Islam is religion of peace. There is no room for such violence in Islam. If you read Quran, you'll find that all the verses of the Quran are related to peace, either directly or indirectly. There are some verses of Qatar. Qatar means war. But these verses were revealed in Medina when there were state of war. And those verses deal regarding defense. So in normal life, Islam greatly emphasizes peace and tolerance. But if there is an attack from outside and there is a established Muslim state, then this state will go to war. Not, but first, but first is negotiation. If there is some attack from outside, Islam tells us that try to negotiate, try to settle matter. But if negotiation fails, then government will go to war as defense. Only government, not individuals. In Islam, there is no concept of what is called proxy war or guerrilla war. These wars are quite unlawful in Islam. Only an established government can go to war as a defense. Offensive war is not allowed in Islam.
Yes. Are you involved in interfaith dialogue in India, around the world?
क्या कहना?
ना वो पूछ रहे हैं कि are you involved or engaged in interfaith dialogue
Yes.
in India and abroad?
Yes. I participated in so many dialogue in India and also abroad. But I was disappointed because people lack the spirit of dialogue. Generally, people try to establish their point, their own point. But I don't think so. I don't believe in debate. I also believe in dialogue, but not in debate.
Yes.
According to my perception, dialogue is mutual learning. For mutual learning. But this is spirit. But there are few people who know that the spirit of dialogue is mutual learning.
Yes.
I love dialogue, but not in the sense of debate, but in the sense of mutual learning.
Yes. In debate, everyone puts his opinion,
Yes.
right? Except of instead of listening to others. Yes.
Yes, this is my belief. According to my perception, religion is a matter of self-choice. I don't believe in conversion and forcible conversion. These things are not Islamic. Religion is a subject of self-choice. And after study, after dialogue, after contemplation, if you find that religion A is my religion, then you can adopt that religion. Otherwise not. The first comes search, and first comes the study, research, then comes religion. Religion is a matter of discovery. And myself have discovered Islam. My Islam is not my discovery is that uh, not Islam by birth. No. My Islam is Islam by choice.
Yes. Are there organizations among? I mean, you said you're disappointed from interfaith dialogue, but are there organizations that you think are good in it? They are positive.
मौलाना वो ये कह रहे हैं जो आपने कहा कि डायलॉग तो आप यू लव डायलॉग बट आप डिसअपॉइंटेड हुए क्योंकि सब लोग व्यू पॉइंट नहीं एक दूसरे का अप्रिशिएट करते हैं तो वो ये कह रहे हैं कि आपके हिसाब से कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो अच्छा काम कर रही है या यू फाइंड कि वो डायलॉग्स में एक अच्छा निभा रहे हैं रोल तो वो आपसे जानना चाह रहे हैं कि कौन सी ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है विच यू थिंक आर डूइंग गुड इन द एरिया ऑफ डायलॉग.
It's difficult to mention an organization. It is very difficult. क्या भाई कोई है इसको mention?
That's an answer. If it's very difficult, this is the answer.
वो कह रहे हैं अगर डिफिकल्ट है तो ये
कैसा रहता है?
हाँ?
क्रिश्चियंस करते हैं डायलॉग
बेटर होता है ना उनको?
क्रिश्चियंस हिंदू
She is my intellectual partner.
Yes.
I think Christians are better at
Yes.
this. They know the spirit of the dialogue better than the other communities.
Yes. Maybe they are the first ones. I think they started, but interface you have to be with other religions. You need partners, right? And I think Jews also have many organizations. Do you know Rabbi David Rosen? Is very prominent, and many others also. And I think also Muslims. It wakes up, is my opinion.
In India, he is actually loved by all the faith leaders, whether it is Jews or whether it is Hindus or Sikhs or Buddhism, like Dalai Lama and other international faith leaders. They love him because he always talk about dialogue and
Right.
mutual learning,
Right.
and tolerance and harmony. So they really appreciate his work in the area of peace.
Yes. Yes. Of course, yeah.
It is difficult to mention any organizer, any organization, but there may be some individuals who are interested in mutual learning.
Yes.
I am great lover of intellectual development.
So,
Intellectual development.
Mhm.
So I always try to develop my thinking,
Yes.
to develop my thinking, and without going to debate. But people, there are few people who know the value of intellectual development. क्या भाई? हैं? कैसा आप बताइए?
I see it's a good answer.
वो ठीक है वो कह रहे हैं वो फॉलो करा उन्होंने आपको.
अच्छा अच्छा.
It's a good answer. You cannot find any. Yes. I wanted to ask you another thing. I have the feeling in the last year, maybe 10 years, 12 years, the world is going like this. More violence, more problems, extremism, environment, many wars. What do you think is about the world? What is going on? What is the direction?
क्या कह रहे हैं?
मौलाना वो कह रहे हैं कि लास्ट 10-20 इयर्स में जो उनकी ये फीलिंग है कि वर्ल्ड का डाउनफॉल ही हो रहा है. नेगेटिविटी है, वायलेंस है, एक्सट्रीमिज्म है, वॉर्स है, एनवायरमेंटल कंसर्न्स हैं. तो वर्ल्ड जो है उसका डायरेक्शन उल्टा है, मतलब नेगेटिव है. तो वो आपका ओपिनियन जानना चाह रहे हैं इसमें.
I don't feel so. This is
Good.
not-
Good.
I am very much, I am an optimist. I am an optimist. So, my belief is that all those evil events, and apparently they are evil events, but even evil has a even evil has a plus point. There are positive aspects of evils, because where there are evils, there are discussion, dialogue, and dissent, and all these things serve as a brainstorming. These events, when comes to our mind, it generates brainstorming. It is brainstorming that increases our capacity to think. Otherwise, we'll go to intellectual stagnation. And without unwanted situation, there is no intellectual development. If everything is good, then the result will be intellectual stagnation. Is it clear?
Were you able to follow?
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
जी मौलाना वो क्लियर है कह रहे हैं.
अच्छा.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. Yes. So
The
this is
the choice
against stagnation.
the choice is between intellectual stagnation. If any situation leads to intellectual stagnation, that is not my choice. My choice is that situation will leads to intellectual development, although apparently it is evil. Any situation that apparently evil, but if it leads to intellectual development, then for me it is good.
But
Because-
is there chance for peace? Do we have chance for peace?
मौलाना वो कह रहे हैं कि is there a chance for peace?
No, ideal peace is impossible, because everyone has freedom. When people are free, they are also free to misuse their freedom. You cannot abolish their freedom. So ideal peace is not achievable in this world.
Not at all. But you said you are optimistic.
मौलाना आइडियल और प्रैक्टिकल पीस के बारे में बता दें.
हैं?
आइडियल और प्रैक्टिकल पीस के बारे में बता दीजिए.
In this world only practical peace is possible,
Practical.
not ideal. Ideal peace not. I am optimist in this sense that in every situation I try to find out some plus point, some positive point. In this sense I am optimistic.
Yes. But what is practical peace? What do you mean?
Practical peace based on tolerance.
On dialogue.
Tolerance. If the other party is against my ideas, then I have to tolerate him. So tolerance-based peace is possible, but ideal-based peace is not possible.
Yes. I see.
Is it clear?
जी is that clear or you want him to elaborate more?
आप elaborate कर दिए.
Maybe he can elaborate more about how to do dialogue. I mean, with the extremists, you cannot do dialogue.
Yeah, I think there's one more point where you can ask him to elaborate. He spoke about intellectual stagnation and intellectual
Spiritual.
and spiritual stagnation. So, maybe you can elaborate on that also.
Okay. Yeah.
मौलाना जो intellectual stagnation और spiritual stagnation है, उसका difference, what is the difference between the two? और dialogue के बारे में वो कह रहे हैं कि what was your question? You wanted to you wanted him to
He
elaborate
said,
on
what the optimistic side, the practical piece, is that there is tolerance and dialogue between people. So I wanted to ask how to do this dialogue. He says dialogue is disappointment. So how should dialogue be that it will be effective? And how can he how can we treat the extremists? Because they don't like dialogue at all.
मौलाना वो थोड़ा सा इस बात पे लेके कंफ्यूज हो रहे हैं कि आपने ऑन वन हैंड आपने कहा कि आप ऑप्टिमिस्ट हैं और दूसरे हैंड में आपने ये भी कहा कि आप डिसअपॉइंटेड है क्योंकि डायलॉग जो है वो ट्रू डायलॉग स्पिरिट में नहीं हो रहा है. तो वो ये जानना चाह रहे हैं कि कैसे डायलॉग को आगे लेके जा सकते हैं.
I used the word disappointment in a very limited sense. In a very limited sense. Otherwise, I always like dialogue, even if it's not in the right way. If dialogue is debate, for example, that I think that against the spirit of dialogue, even then I prefer that dialogue must continue. So disappointment means people are not very keen to accept the other's ideas. But as far as the dialogue is concerned, dialogue must be continued. Because if you see the result at the level of masses, then you will find that there is no result. But at the same time, on the level of individuals, there is a result. Clear? Clear?
मौलाना जो प्रैक्टिकल पीस और जो आइडियल पीस था ना वो भी वो थोड़ा सा
नहीं, ये पॉइंट क्लियर हुआ जो मैंने अभी कहा.
Was this point clear?
Yes, he says limited. Yes, yes. What we do is the extremists who don't want any dialogue. How can we fight this phenomenon?
मौलाना जो एक्सट्रीमिज्म का फिनोमिनन है वो ये कह रहे हैं कि वो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट को कैसे डील कर सकते हैं बिकॉज वो तो डायलॉग नहीं चाहते हैं. सो हाउ डू वी डील विद एक्सट्रीमिस्ट?
According to my experience, extremist people are unaware of the life of the law of nature. They know only their own obsession, their own thinking, but they don't know that life is governed by law of nature, not by obsession. So they don't know. Their case is case of unawareness. I don't think they're Satan. These extremists not Satan. They are unaware of the fact that they must plan their activities according to the law of nature. Is it clear?
I think we will have to work through literature because there is an example of Kashmir. They were also extremists. So we spread literature among them from individual to individual. Not all of them can be addressed at a time. So So finally, by working after about 10 years, now they have abandoned militancy. So we will have to work patiently. Not all of a
Undoubtedly.
sudden, they
Yes.
can't be changed.
Yes. So, I see, yes. It's a big problem now.
स्पिरिचुअल स्टैग्नेशन और इंटेलेक्चुअल स्टैग्नेशन को अगर आप डिफरेंस बता दें कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इंटेलेक्चुअल स्टैग्नेशन एंड स्पिरिचुअल स्टैग्नेशन, आर दे सेम और आर दे डिफरेंट?
According to my conception, both are one and the same. Because my spirituality is based on mind. I don't believe in heart-based spirituality. No. Heart-based spirituality is nothing. I believe in mind-based spirituality. So, according to my definition, spirituality and intellectual development both are one and the same.
Yes. Do you want to ask me anything? Do you want to ask me anything about my research, about...
What is his spirituality concept? Because he has worked in Sufi.
आप क्या कह रहे हैं?
वो कह रहे हैं कि मेरे से आप अगर कुछ सवाल करना चाहें आप, वो कह रहे तो आप पूछिए। पुराने सूफीज़म में कुछ कर रहे हैं, नक्शबंदी ऑर्डर और वो, तो उसके बारे में किसी एक्सपीरियंस?
I don't believe in traditional Sufism.
You don't...
Myself is Sufi. Myself is Sufi. I'm Sufi. But my Sufism, creative Sufism, that is mind-based Sufism. All those Sufi were obsessed with heart-based Sufism.
Yes.
But according to my experience, heart-based Sufism leads only to ecstasy, not
Yes.
not development. Ecstasy
Yes.
is quite different. So I believe in Sufism, but in the sense of mind-based Sufism, that leads to intellectual development. And I think that intellectual development and spiritually is only another name of intellectual development. In positive thinking and spirituality, both are one and the same.
Did you belong in your youth or grown up on any tariqah? You belonged there?
Sufi tariqa.
No.
Never.
No, my tariqa is, but that is my self-created tariqa.
Yes, I understand. One of my books is on the Naqshbandiya, the Naqshbandi tariqa. Naqshbandi is a very orthodox, very straight, but also ecstasy in the end. And I visited India a couple of times. I went to Delhi and to Sirhind and other places and talked with sheikhs. But it was also fascinating to write about them.
You know, there are many Sufi schools, but there is a common. All these Sufi schools believe in heart-based tasawwuf, heart-based spirituality. But I think that there is nothing, because heart is a source of circulation of blood. Heart is not thinking heart. Thinking capacity is only in your mind. So, science and Sufism both are mind-based discipline. No discipline is heart-based discipline.
Yes.
Because heart is not, because heart cannot think. My daughter is Sufi. She is Sufi.
You're Sufi.
She's written books on
I've
Sufism.
written a book on Sufism, but
Yes.
he is Sufi by birth.
She has published several books on traditional Sufism.
Yes.
So she herself is a Sufi.
Well, you don't have to be Sufi to write on Sufis, but you have to have something in the heart, right or no? And you have something spiritual to write on Sufis. Otherwise, you don't understand it at all.
Yes.
Sufi in action, but creative when it comes to mind-based spirituality.
Yes.
So when you have to connect with God Almighty, so then he says that it is through mind
Yeah,
that
he
you connect.
explained, Maulana explained very clearly. I mean, Sufism is like spirituality for development and not for the rituals, for getting ecstasy. Yes, I think is a good point. Can I ask you, what is your opinion about Abu Hassan Nadwi? Did you meet him? Did you know him? What do you
Yes.
think about him?
Yes, I know him well. People generally believe that he was a thinker, but I don't think that he was a thinker. He was a reformer, a Sufi reformer, not a thinker. For example, one of his popular book is Maza Khasar al-Alam Bain Hadatul Muslimin. So I'm critical to this book. I say that the title itself is wrong. The title itself is wrong. Maza Khasar al-Alam Bain Hadatul Muslimin. Why you are bothered about Alam? Why not about Muslim? This gentleman is saying that Alam was in loss, but I said the Muslims themselves were in loss.
Yes.
So the right title would be Maza Khasar Muslimun Bain Hitat Anfusim. Maza Khasar Muslimun Bain Hitat Anfusim. What Muslim lost due to their degeneration. Clear?
एकदम clear है मौलाना. So, what is your concept of peace? If you could share that with Maulana.
My concept of peace. Well, I must admit, as an Israeli, I'm not very optimistic because our conflict in Israel-Palestine is now more than 100 years, more than a century. Actually, 135 years. And we had some hopes when there was the peace process, and many people in Israel thought, oh, now it's going to happen something. And what came after was a big disappointment. And now many people, and I'm among them, who became pessimistic about possibility of peace. And as I said, I see, well, when you look every day at the news, so many bad things happen, so many wars. Now, especially in the Muslim world, in the Middle East, I mean, it's one catastrophe after the other. What happens in Syria, Yemen now, Libya, Sudan, so many places. So peace is something I dream of, you know. I hope, I can maybe hope that one day it will be better. But I agree with you very much that ideal peace is unachievable. But we must never despair. We must always work to make things better, which is the practical peace, as you said. But I don't know. Israel, Palestine is a little bit like India, Pakistan. Many similarities. And we see these are from the longest conflicts, never end. What do you think?
No, I agree with him that that idea, and we've also realized that through our experiences, through our interactions, that we should not. The problem is that we get disappointed because we aim for ideal peace. But as he says that we should look at opportunities. If you look at, like you were asking about the wars, he was sharing in one of an interview, in World War I and World War II. There was so much of misery, so many people lost their lives. But in that, because of the wars, the humanities got GPS, cars,
Yes.
so many other things, aeroplanes. So, there are problems all the time. You can't say that, you want perfect peace. That's just not part of the God's creation plan, as he said, because he's testing each one of the individual. And for that, he's giving freedom. So, one or the other person is bound to misuse the freedom. So what we really need to look at is the opportunity, like he says. Go for opportunities, ignore the problems. And when you avail those opportunities, you get justice. So the entire focus is normalcy. Try to get normalcy, because that's when the environment becomes, conducive. It's like he gives a very good example. You will see in the Age of Peace that, a tree cannot give fruit. I mean, you cannot get the fruit from the soil. You will have to sow the seed, it grows into a plant, tree, and then you get the fruit. So similarly, you have to show social justice cannot be achieved simply because, you ask for it. You have to follow the process of, first availing the opportunity, and then you get social justice.
I agree. This is right. We are looking for the next opportunity, maybe now. Yes.
Today's time
Like-
is a practical peace time. Can we call it that we have achieved a practical peace?
मौलाना तारिक साहब का एक सवाल है.
हैं?
तारिक साहब का एक सवाल है. He wants to know, in the age we are in right now, is this the age of practical peace?
क्या मतलब?
जिस एज में हम हैं अभी, आज का जो दौर है, जो जमाना है, वो क्या प्रैक्टिकल पीस का दौर है?
Practical peace is always there.
We have achieved.
Only you have to accept it. For example, I am living in peace due to my practical ideas. Any practical peace means acceptance of status quo. Practical peace means acceptance of status quo. For example, Palestinians retreated to accept the status quo. So there was war. Palestinians must accept the status quo. Then there is no war. So practical means acceptance of status quo. So at individual level, it is every time achievable. But if you want to if you want to see the practical reviews at mass level, then you have to wait. समझे आप?
Like
Huh?
I'll give the example of India. You may have also heard of many problems faced by Muslims being a minority.
Yes.
But all of us have never found any difficulty in doing anything while we were studying, while we engaged in this mission, and while organizing programs. No, the non-Muslims have only supported us.
Yes.
Because the only thing we need is to lead peaceful lives. We should not
Personally,
confront the others.
Yes.
And then they will become our supporters.
I think maybe the addition is that this concept of dialogue is coming up. Maybe it started with Christianity, but it's now with other religions. And I think this is positive development, and that's why I became interested in it, because so many people write about violence, and all you hear in the media is violence, and the ISIS, and it's all over. But I think this growth of the other way of dialogue is very, very important, and work like Maulana's and other people that develop the concepts of peace and let's talk and be tolerant to each other, I think this is very, very important.
I would say that there are two levels of peace. Two levels. Personal level and general level. So, peace on a personal level is achievable any time if you accept the status quo on your own level, that you are in peace. Just like my case, I accept every status quo, then I always live in peace. Every status quo, I accept it. I say that I am greatest status quoist of the history. But there is a general peace or national peace that is not at present available. You have to wait it. I don't know how many time it will take, but it is matter of waiting. So I accepted this fact that on my personal level I am status quoist. So every time I live in peace, every day and night. For me it is not a problem, because God Almighty has created this world for test, T-E-S-T, test. So due to test, it is but natural that people will misuse their freedom. And God Almighty is not going to abolish the freedom till the doomsday. So who is the other person who can abolish the freedom? So you have to adopt my formula. Leave people on their own and accept, and on your personal level, accept this formula. That is based on status quo. Status quoism. Is that clear? Huh?
Is it clear what he said?
Yes, it is. Very clear voice.
No problem. We don't create problems for others.
Yes, I know. Well, I visited India 6 times. I was in India and I teach Indian Islam, South Asian Islam. So I studied Middle East and I wrote my PhD on Damascus. Now I noticed that ideas that became important, Islamic ideas in the Middle East, come from India. Naqshbandi was very important in Ottoman Empire, comes from India. And then Salafis began, comes from Al-Hadith, Siddiq Hassan Khan and these people. And Sayyid Qutb, he was influenced by Maududi and Nadwi. And so I have a big article that shows that in modern times, India became the center of Islamic ideas. And from India, it went to Middle East, to other places. Now, ideas like yours about peace, your ideas, very little in the Middle East. And I hope they also come to be among the Arabs, among the people of the Middle East.
India is a fertile ground.
Yes. Yes.
So they are slowly, it's slowly getting momentum. For example, 2 months back in Abu Dhabi, the Arabs recognized his.
आप कुर्सी पर जी
जी जी
The Arabs recognized his work for peace, and they gave him an award. So there were Arabs from all over the world who had gathered at Abu Dhabi, and even the king's son was there, and they gave him an peace award, and then he gave his acceptance speech where he spoke about peace. So I think everybody is getting fed up of the violence, and they are really looking for a solution of peace.
Undoubtedly.
So, but at the same time, like what she said, in India, our focus is always on peace work. So while some of the people cry that there are biases, we've ignored that. We've just focused on opportunities, as he said, and that's how we're moving forward.
Yes.
So, it's gaining acceptance slowly and gradually.
He believes in ignore the problems, feed the opportunities.
Yes, but I think that's not enough. There should be people like Maulana, that spiritual people with a strong voice. We can say this sheikh and this sheikh and this sheikh is speaking about peace. It's not enough. A word is, of course, very respectable, but when Sayyid Qutb took the ideas of Maududi and adapted it to the Middle East and brought with this Jahiliyyah you have to fight against, and this was impact. We need some people in the Middle East like this.
Throw some light on Maududi and
Maududi Kursi is to the bad side. I mean, now you need people who talk about peace, about the good side. These people, we are waiting for them. Well, I think I learned a lot.
माशाल्लाह.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm going to read your books and to write about your ideas. I'm doing a kind of comparative work about Middle East, the West, and South Asia. And how in each part the concept of dialogue starts to get roots. And I want to make comparisons, but I think also put them together, because this is very important, that this movement, this development will be more and more of a dialogue.
Great. Also visit his website. I gave you my card. His website is there.
Yes.
So all his books and his articles, his audios, videos, they are uploaded on the website.
Yes. And I picked up some.
You'll get you'll get a lot of stuff on his website.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I wish you a lot of health, and that you
Thank you.
continue to work on peace and have achievements.
Thank you. Thank you.